randomly speaking and some more speaking. That sounds easy.
Yes, so that's how it is. Hello and welcome. You are listening to another episode of the Playstyle podcast. I am Ishan, and this is a podcast where I am inviting guests every week right now. So I've been on a good streak so far. I didn't want to call it and jinx it, but now I have. Where I talk about games. And to talk about games today, I have a new guest and I will let her introduce herself. So, hello, Nadine, and welcome to my podcast.
Hi, Ishan. Thank you for having me.
Yay! Nice to have you on the podcast. I was super excited to have you because I know you have a lot
Yeah.
of games to talk about. And
Yeah.
just to give a short introduction, Nadine, what do you do, where you're joining from, some cool stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Some cool stuff. Oh, wow. Okay. So I'm currently living in Copenhagen.
Neighbors,
And
almost.
exactly. And yeah, we know each other actually from Slovenia,
Yes.
which is pretty cool. And originally I'm from Germany. And yeah, to stick to the topic, I am playing games, or I have been playing games since I was very small, maybe 5, 6 years old. So a lot, and even computer games. So it's not only board games and stuff.
Yes, we have a lot of stuff to
So
talk about.
I'm really excited about this. Yeah.
Yay,
And
thank
I'm
you.
also very, very much into books, by the way.
So before we jump into talking about games, you have said you have played a lot of different games on computers, now mobiles, board games, all that. What would be the first thing that comes to your mind when I say games?
It would be Friends, actually,
Nice.
because yeah, because it hasn't always been like that, but lately I think everything that is related to games is more about friends to me, about the social component.
Mhm.
So yeah, I just love playing board games together with friends, and also mobile games, computer games. It's always fun if you share it with other people.
Oh,
So
yeah, that's
I
that's
really
a
like that.
cool point. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So, and okay, now that we have friends as our word for thinking about games, we can just go back to the memory lane of your earliest memories with games and what cool stories you have. So, I imagine there will be a lot of like a cultural context difference that I will get from this because the other people I have spoken about, we have this common thing that when someone says yeah this was used to happen, I was like yeah of course I know that. I think that would be interesting. I'm not preempting or like saying something that there should be, but this is how I think about.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Um, okay. So yeah, I can start at the beginning, I think. So my first memory was of a C64.
Hmm. The
I don't
Commodore
know if you've
64. Yeah, I haven't played it, but I know. Yeah.
Yeah, so by the way, I'm old.
No one's old over here.
Yeah, it's yeah, the first memory I have, and it was really nice because my parents used to program little games themselves,
Oh,
and
nice.
they cut it out of the newspaper, so it was printed back then, and they could, just replicate it on their C65, 64, so on their computer. And that was the first thing that they told me about games. So I was really excited about that. But
Oh,
at the
like
time,
the code was printed on newspaper and then
yes,
you could
yes,
code it. Ah,
it was
interesting.
super simple back then.
Yeah, of
And
course.
yeah, it was possible to do that. And I was really excited about that. But at the beginning of my, career in games, which is not a career, but, when I started, that was way too complicated. So I couldn't even think of that. And I was very impressed by the huge step that the games made just in like 10 years
Yeah,
time or
of course.
so.
That's true.
So that
Oh,
was
nice. I
really
didn't know
intense.
there was
Yeah.
something like this that existed, that you could just see a newspaper print
Yeah.
and then code your own games. Oh, nice.
That was really, yeah, of course not my personal experience, but that was the first
Yeah,
thing I
but
remember.
exactly, but that's when you played games, right? So it's still technically your own playing games experience, and
Yeah.
that's what we are here to talk about.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I started, I think it was something called Emerald Mines, which was, which still exists. I saw it as a mobile game, I think.
Huh, interesting. I am not
So,
sure I have played it, but what is it about?
yeah, I can send you the link later.
Yes.
It's you just run around a field or something or in a mine, and then you collect stuff. And then there's it's a little like Pac-Man, I would say, maybe like in this direction. And
Yeah.
then there was Monkey Island,
Yeah.
which was an adventure game that I also played a lot, even if I was very small at that time. And yeah, when I started uh, playing
More advanced
other
games.
games.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that the first thing I really liked and that hooked me up or hooked me was Pharaoh, which is a strategic game. I don't know
Mhm.
if you heard of it.
Not sure either, but I'll look for it.
Okay. Yeah, so oh my, this is yeah. I spend a lot of time playing this game and building some pyramids
Hmm.
in the old Egypt,
Oh, okay.
and that was fun. And
But this was
then
all on PC games, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So that was that. And yeah, then finally mobile games came up,
And board games
and
in between.
board games were of course a huge part of my life always.
But is it like have you been introduced to board games first or like computer games first?
I'm not sure. Maybe it was both at the same
Mm.
time. Mm,
Ah, yeah, interesting.
yeah.
And then like now to jump from that early memories to right now, what are you currently playing or something that you have
Um,
recently played?
yeah, something very recent was I don't know if you know Toon Blast,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
which is a casual mobile game,
Yeah, it's
and I
the
just
tap to break three of a kind, the color match
exactly,
kind of genre
exactly,
of games.
yeah,
Oh, nice. Are you
something
still
like
playing
that.
it, or has it
Yeah,
been some time?
sometimes. Yeah, just yeah, I do that. And the thing before that I also spent a lot of time in was Summoner's War.
Yes, I know that I've heard about it.
I was so addicted for years, really, really bad.
Yeah,
So
they recently came out with some new version, right? And
yes,
then
yeah, but it's a kind of card game, I think. Something
I haven't tried.
similar, but yeah. So I started that, but it wasn't like the old one. So I thought, okay, let's go back to that, and then yeah, it caught me again, and I played a lot. So
Oh,
yeah, if whenever I play something, I feel like I'm really addicted to that, and can spend a lot of time.
okay, yeah. I mean, not a bad thing if you have a lot of time to
No, of
spend whenever.
course.
So,
Yeah, but you have to have that time, right? And yeah, the last board game that I played was, I think it's called Code Names.
yeah, I know.
You know that? Okay.
Yes. Yeah, it's a fun game to play with your group of friends. So it's
Yes.
nice. Yeah. And cool. Like lot. It's really interesting that whenever I talk to people on this podcast, it's like you start off with, oh, I remember this game, and then you end up with a lot of different games, and then it's always
Yeah.
like there is such a huge variety of games that everyone has tried out at some point or the other. And now with your example of Summoners of War and Toon Blast, they are completely different games. And
Yeah.
when I look at it from like a game or a audience of the game, I wouldn't think there will be a huge similarity between the audience, but there is an audience who plays all of that, so that's true as well.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Interesting. Yeah.
And so like anything from the recent games, is there anything that you have liked or that you like to see? In the sense, I'm just thinking of the games that you just mentioned. What was it that made you try it out, or what did you like about it?
Yeah, there was a time, maybe a couple of years ago, when I tried out a lot of games, and I have been more involved in other projects in the last couple of years because now I'm self-employed and I really do what I love. So I think I'm also kind of playing and creating there a lot, and this is like a substitute for me. So I'm writing, for example, I'm writing a book. And I see that this is really interesting. It has a lot in common with playing games.
Oh, interesting.
Because if you play games that you're creative with, you can also do that when you're writing a book.
Yeah. So it was the creative aspect of the games that
Yes,
you
exactly.
And yeah, you were just
Yeah.
saying you had a nice anecdote from your work related to
Yes.
games, and we should share that.
Oh yeah, it was so funny because when you asked me for this interview,
Yeah.
I was just launching the episode in my podcast, which I do together with a friend, and we're talking about books, creating stuff, and reading and writing, basically. And we just discovered that we are both kind of gamers in a way, and
nice.
that we wanted to share this with the audience, and that we're kind of nerds, if you will. So there was just this episode that we just launched, and then an hour after that, I got your invitation for this podcast, and I
Nice.
thought, oh, this is so funny.
See,
So-
I invite people at the right time, so and
Definitely.
people should definitely check out that podcast, but that is probably in German.
It is, yes. Unfortunately, I would
No,
love
that's
it
okay.
if it was in English.
If you understand German, go and listen to that podcast. I will put the link in show notes of that podcast as well.
Cool.
And we will cross promote.
Yes.
Oh, nice. So good. I didn't know this, that I approached at the correct time.
Yeah,
Oh,
that was
perfect. Yeah.
very funny.
And like again, back to our different kind of games and different kind of
Yeah.
game stories. So you said that there was something of a creative aspect that you try to see in a game.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you see that
Well,
you like in a particular
definitely.
game, or some examples?
When I go back to Summoner's War, for example,
Yeah.
I played it with together with friends, with my husband and friends, and that was a nice part. So the social component was very, very important for me.
Yeah.
But I also see, I don't know how to put this, I just say it, that the characters
Yeah.
in the game
Yes.
were actually also like little friends. And I know I'm very emotionally attached to that. So I have some characters that I really like and that prevent me from deleting the game. So I thought about quitting and I just couldn't do it because of my my monsters in the game. So that's something that is really important for me.
I haven't played it so much, but I didn't really relate to those monsters so much. But yeah, that's a interesting point of view. Like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
And that's why, like earlier you said, like friends is kind of the connecting word that you think about
Yeah.
in games. And with Summoners of War, it's lot. You don't really need friends to play it. I mean, there is a lot of a single player experience in that game as well.
Yeah, exactly. You are always connected, and you can also play with people that you don't know.
Yeah.
So, but you have always, or you
There is some
always
social
have the social component. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And yeah, again, like I hadn't thought of Summoners of War being a game which would have a strong social component. Like, of course, I haven't played a lot. Like, I played bits and pieces, and
Maybe
it's
it's
like
just mid game and
yeah,
how do you say late game?
yeah, it's mid to late game probably,
Yes.
and like initially it was still a lot of grindy, collect your
Yes.
cards, lot of gacha
Yeah, true.
boxes, and everything else.
Yeah.
So that's why it's interesting to know that this also has a very social component that drives
but
you
that's
to
true.
play
Yeah.
it. Is there any other game that you can think of that you had this kind of experience, or any other experience, like any other example?
Yeah, it's actually another game that comes to mind right now, with probably another component as well. And this is a very old PC game that I played a couple of years ago. It's called something with a cafe. I don't know. There
Is it
are
like
lots
the Diner
of
Dash
cafe.
kind of games? You have to serve the customers who are entering the
Yeah,
cafe. Yeah.
yes, and
There are many
it's
there are
not
many time management
exactly.
games of those kind. Yes.
Exactly. So I've also tried some other cafe games, and I really like that because I also used to work in a coffee shop for years, and I don't know, it's just that it reminds me of this time, and I can just forget about life sometimes, and it's really okay. I'm just in a cafe and serving some customers, making some nice coffee.
Nice.
This
That's
is
an interesting escape from things.
yeah,
But then,
and
have
then
you also played? I know you have, but have you also played Overcooked?
oh yes, of course, but that is something else because Overcooked it's so social. It's
Yeah.
really all about playing together with friends, and I love that really. And it's so exciting because it's about real communication, and you have to be fast and you have to play together. And I really, yeah, that's an
And
awesome
then
game.
you basically shout at other people and get angry at other people as well.
Yeah, and it's super cool because in real life I would never do that. But yeah, the game setting allows you to be emotional, and no one is mad about that.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So some really interesting points, like the whole context of having friends, the social part, the escape to a more familiar location kind of feeling, or
Yes.
like this.
Yeah, that's an interesting aspect because now, as an expat, maybe it's also this kind of homesickness, maybe
Yeah.
the aspect that it just reminded me of simpler times. So, as I say, I'm really happy with what I'm doing right now,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's really nice to go back and everything is easy.
Oh, nice. And games are an escape for that.
Yes,
Interesting.
definitely. Yes.
So now I know, like, you're playing on mobile and also on consoles sometimes, or
Yeah.
not at all, or something.
Sometimes, and more with other people. So I would never play on my own on a console.
Okay. So only when there is someone else, like in a multiplayer game, but otherwise you
Yes.
won't be interested. Oh, nice. And how do
Yeah.
you think of like this different medium in a way? Like, of course, like PC games growing up, like old times, there was a different way in which PC games were there, and now there is console and mobile. And what do you kind of think when it's playing on mobile versus playing on console?
Mm, it's about convenience, I think, for me, because it's super convenient to play a casual game, a mobile game, just one or two short games in
Yeah.
between, and be on a short break.
Yeah.
But for me, to go to a console and play there, it would be like an event.
Yeah, you
But just
need to make a
because I'm not
plan
used to
for
it.
it in some way. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and PC is also something a bit more time consuming and a bit more. I would have to plan it or to have some time to spend.
Yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
what is expected, and that's how the whole mobile gaming kind of
Yeah.
works. Is basically you need something to fill in your snack time, and like
Exactly.
it's the
Yes.
snacky version of games that
Yeah.
are quite popular as well. And the example like you gave with Toon Blast is something like that, where it's you just need a small time to play it, and you don't need.
Yes.
But then technically, like Summoners of War, I wouldn't call that because I have spent like hours in one
Oh.
session.
Exactly. And then, I don't know, did you experience the same? It's like you're getting a headache because it's such a small device. And when you spend 2 or more hours, it's just exhausting.
It is exhausting when you realize that, wait, I have been at this game for half an hour or 1 hour
Yeah.
at just the same thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, nice. So, on speaking
Yeah.
about headaches, what good segue. So, what is it that gives you headache in a game? In a way, that what is it that would
Uh,
that would be
okay.
something
Yeah.
that you hate in a
Mm-hmm.
game? Like, I see this, I
Well,
don't like it at all.
it's it's not that I don't like it, it's just that I feel like I'm sucking at it.
Mm-hmm.
Is when it's too fast or too much. Like Diablo,
Yeah.
for example. I've tried that. And also this new Pokemon game.
Yeah, the
It's
Pokemon
just,
Unite.
yes, it's just, it looks nice and everything, but I'm just too stupid for it, not patient enough, and everyone else seems to be so much better, and then I just give up, and it gives me a headache because I really want to be good at that, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just,
It
I feel like
requires too much skill from you or something.
yes, and I should have started when I was younger, but then I didn't. So now I feel
Interesting.
old and stupid.
No, like quite interesting, and especially on this Pokemon Unite because it's a trending game in this couple of weeks, especially now that it's out on mobile. I've had tried their earlier version of MOBA, which was Arena of Valor, which is
Oh,
now
yeah.
reskinned into Pokemon Unite. But I haven't played a lot. Like it's just
Okay.
been few games that I have tried so far. But there were some things which I think Pokemon Unite tried to make more casual from what the Arena of Valor was. Like the what
Yeah.
I hated in earlier version of their Arena of Valor, the that kind of games was that it took a long time to complete a match. You had to go and defeat the base and all
Okay.
that. Here they have like
Ah, I
10 minutes
see.
matchups and which is very interesting. And I think they are doing some interesting changes to the genre which takes a lot of time. But yeah, I agree to your
Yeah.
point. It is still a little bit of a higher level of engagement that you
Yes.
require and some more thought process and some strategies which are more instant rather than thinking ahead.
Yeah.
But then, is it like with the strategy kind of games, like you gave an example of the Pharaoh game,
Yeah.
that also requires some sort of strategy and planning forward. But is it because of the strategy that is required to tap faster, like the whole?
I think that it is, yes, because if I have time,
Mhm,
I like to play basically or to try basically anything
mhm.
and just, yeah, find my way through the game. And then I can decide later if I like it or not. But with these games, it's like, okay, you have to be very good and very fast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's what really, and this is also when I feel, oh my God, when I feel I compare myself to the others
Hmm.
and I'm not patient with myself, and then it gives me a headache. So,
Ah, really cool. Because when it comes to games with social aspects, it is
yeah.
usually when you actually play with others or you compete with others. And like a example like this Pokemon Unite
Yeah.
example, you are actually kind of doing both. You're playing with and playing against others as well. But then there is a interesting point that even for people who are really interested in playing with friends or in a social aspect, when it becomes more competitive, it becomes a little more not so exciting than just
Yeah.
chilling around and playing.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Is there anything else that you can think of that you would
Yeah.
not like in a game?
If you're not able to create anything, I think it's always nice for me to have some, because then I can also watch a movie. It's like it feels the same. So why should I play a game which costs more time when I can watch a movie instead,
Mhm.
or some series? Because when I have a game that I only consume and
Yeah.
I'm not the creator in a way, then at some point it bores me or it's just exhausting for me.
By creation, it could also be some choices or
Yes.
something that you do that
Yeah.
challenges your thinking in a way.
Yes,
Yeah, I
exactly.
mean, of course, like interactive medium, the interaction part is the key, right?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. There are a lot of good points we discussed over here.
Yeah, and of course I also like Toon Blast. They have very cute characters.
Mm-hmm.
So I also, and in Summoner's War,
Yeah.
it's also not exactly cute, but I
I mean,
can
something
relate to
that you
that in
like
a
it, yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Have you tried other games like Summoners of War? Summoners War.
Um,
Yeah.
have I? Yes, I think, but I don't know the name.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot it, and I didn't really like it. Yeah, because of the graphics, I think,
Ah, interesting.
and
Yeah,
because I
that's what
already,
that's what I was thinking. Like,
yeah, definitely. And I already had a game that I liked, and I was kind of loyal to my monsters in the other game. So, yeah, that
oh,
was
cool.
awesome, interesting.
So now, like, because Summoners of War was a good point of our discussion, a thread that we were having. If there is a new game which is like Summoners of War, the card collection, very mid to late game is heavy, you have to play with friends and those. What would it take for you to try it out?
Um, Maybe if I see that it's not that time consuming,
Mm-hmm.
because that's something and they worked on that a lot. So it's not even anything like in the old days when you were just grinding the whole
Oh, the
day.
Summoners of War now.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
It's really, there's an option for, you know, automatic grinding.
Yeah.
So that's really, really nice. And this is also the reason why I started again and stayed a while. But I think if the mechanics were the same and yeah, the attachment to the monsters were the same, and it would be a little less time consuming,
Mm-hmm.
that would be something I would try.
Ah, nice. Yeah, because
Maybe.
with games like these, which are like Summoners of War, I have known it for at least 3-4 years, 3-ish years.
Yeah.
So you already have your gameplay where you have invested so much, leveled up so much, and all that. It's always a challenge for any new game to come
Oh,
in that
yes.
space and
Yes.
attract players who are already playing
Mm-hmm.
something similar. So there are a
Yeah.
lot of copies, there are a lot of similar kind of games, and every game has their own like audience. But then it's also always a challenge for how do I get someone from this other game.
And I don't know if it's just something that I make up in my head, but
Mm-hmm.
it could be also that the inventors of I say original game, for me it's the original game, maybe they came up with their own idea. And I see that there's a story and there are stories behind the story, and it's all very well connected. And what I really like also is the epic aspect of the game. So it's it
Like
feels
the
kind of
story of it, or
yes,
uh-huh.
not only the story but also the feeling of the story.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like you're in this. It's like a whole new world,
Yeah.
but then it's also like a complete world.
Yeah.
And I think that's very hard to create. And this is also the part where the players come in and contribute and
Oh,
do a
okay.
lot with it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you have to have the right community maybe, and maybe a good idea, and maybe also this I don't have a word for it, but you know, this maybe the spark or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
that
yeah. I mean, fair. Like there would be something that
yeah,
kind of gets you hooked
passion.
on to that idea
Yes.
or something that you like.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And if you
And
just copy that, I
yeah,
think it's hard to compete because then you don't do it intrinsically, but just because you know, oh, that has been a success.
Yeah, that's true. And like that's why there is a lot of like a rip-off or a similar version of similar kind of genres whenever something one kind of game gets popular and they don't really work that well, and this is a very valid reason for that. So yeah, I mean, good points, and I think we have talked a lot of things. Are there any other anecdotes or some things that you would like to share?
I would definitely like to share one thing about a book.
Yes.
So a couple of years ago, I read a book,
Yeah.
and it was about a game, and it's called Erebos. Erebos. I don't know if you heard of it. I can send you the link later.
Yeah.
So it's, as I said, a book about a game, and it feels like you're in this game when you read this book.
Oh, nice.
So I have
don't know
never
about it.
experienced something like this before, and I would definitely like to recommend it maybe to your audience as well.
Yeah.
If
nice.
anyone is into books, it would be, and it's even available in English. I think the original might be German, but I checked and there's an English version.
Oh, nice. I'll also check
Yeah.
out the English version name for it. And
It's the same. It's Erebos.
okay. I'll note that down
Yeah.
in the show notes
Yes.
as well. So whoever's listening,
Okay.
go to show notes.
Okay.
Check out the links for Nadine's podcast and the book. And yeah, I think we have spoken a lot. And
Yes.
thank you so much, Nadine.
Thank you for having me, Ishan.
This has been a fun talk. And that being said, so whoever's listening, thank you for listening. Go follow Nadine's podcast if you know German, and you should definitely listen. And otherwise, you should just follow my podcast. You can reach out to me on Instagram on playstyle.podcast, or like it's available everywhere. So go like, share, subscribe, rate, do things that can give me more listeners. So, and that being said, thank you so much, Nadine, and
Thank
great
you,
talking
Ishan.
to you. Thanks. Bye.
It was fun. Thank you.